Are you waiting to build something big? That's the biggest mistake most people make. We refused to wait, we're in our 20s, and we built a home improvement company past $10 million. Not because we knew everything, but because we were desperate enough to figure it out along the way. If you don't want to waste decades playing it safe, and if you're ready to build success earlier and live stories worth telling and stay ahead of the curve, subscribe now. Let's get into the episode.
Too young to take seriously. Two operators, real skills, real money. Today I'm sitting with Deven King. Deven is a general manager of Revamp Companies, the nation's 16th largest home improvement company in 2025. He's collaborated closely with AE and me personally over the years, pushing growth, culture, and other processes. His philosophy, accomplish 5 things a day, or you're falling behind. Deven, should we get into the episode?
Let's get it.
Deven, today I really want to talk about how real wealth doesn't come from age and credentials. Rather, it comes from real skills, competence, and speed, which I feel like you have, I have, and we've got it at a really young age. Deven, how old are you?
23.
And you started this, 19?
19.
So been in the game since you were extremely young. Didn't go to college either, right?
Right.
Do you feel like in your journey so far with Next Level Concrete Coatings and Revamp Companies, do you feel like you've created the ability to make wealth for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all starts out with the amount of work you put in. I think a lot of people don't know what hard work really is. I think a lot of people they slowly but surely, get into a field and they just want to stop. They don't keep pushing. And I do stand by, learning things every day, and it'll make you feel accomplished at the end of the day. I think.
Did you have to you learn that? When did you start? Because you're pretty, I feel like pretty versatile.
Yep.
Did you just have to know the things that you know when you were younger? Or what put you in the position? I know you obviously worked in your dad's business when you were younger as well. What put you in the position to be successful and give you those characteristics you now have?
Yeah, it's funny. I think having a parent that owned a business growing up was a big factor in my life. A lot of people don't get to see what it takes to be the owner. A lot of people they go home, they're done for the day. My dad go home and he'd be at home at 8 and he'd be working till, midnight some nights, just on the computer, doing the back end stuff that wasn't able to get done that day, or someone called out that day and he had, X amount of work to accomplish. And, me starting out as young as I did, I mean, I started working for my dad when I was 10, just doing under the table, $50 a day I was making, working at a hobby shop. And
the old hobby shop. Deven used to talk about the old hobby shop all the time when he worked for Polypro.
We used to have a lot of fun at the hobby shop. He made work fun, and I think that's the biggest thing that I learned from him is work is only fun if you choose to make it fun.
Yeah. What I want to talk about in this episode are just 3 things that I think you have, that, and you do, pretty well. Same thing with me, but 3 things that somebody watching, will allow them to go to the top literally right now if they put them into action. Number 1 being who you surround yourself with creates real wealth, right? And kind of the story you just mentioned is your ability to surround yourself with people who just allow that ambition to grow, your drive to grow, your skills to grow, that line normalizes at that level. And I feel like that's kind of the conversation you just had with your dad is you were surrounded by that, right? So this was the normal line for you. That was normal for you to watch your dad go home from work and put in more work. So the ability for you to be hey, I'll go home from work and I'll do more work. That was probably a pretty normal concept to you, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think that was a big kind of factor growing up. And I think one thing that I remember like it was yesterday was when you came out to Fort Wayne and you took over Polypro. And I recall, all like my dad and his partner, and they saw this young guy come in. I don't know, what were you, 20?
I think I was 20.
You were 20 and you came out here and just ran the shop and just told everybody what's the plan, what's going on, this is how we're going to make it happen, and made it happen.
I think it goes back to the topic and the basis of what we're talking about, right? Like, it doesn't come from age and credentials, which should give somebody watching right now, it doesn't matter how old you are or what you know or what you have done or haven't done, like, just the ability for you to just step in and do what you know needs done, like, it doesn't matter about the rest, right? Just take care of the business. And, that's exactly what you saw, and I think that's what also allowed you to prosper into the next step too, because you probably had to go earn your stripes from a lot of people out in next level that were older than you, maybe thought they were doing it longer than you, and then you step in as, 20 years old too when you got out there? Yep. How old, 21? 20. So, again, you took damn near the same path I took, and, it's probably, not always a fun one, I would imagine.
No, I saw a pod, I don't know how long ago this pod was dropped, but you mentioned, there was that one point where you're overworking yourself, right? And I think you gotta be uncomfortable. You have to get out of that comfort zone. And I don't know, there was one night I called you, I think, and I was like, Parker, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I said, I'm overworking myself and, putting in those 100-hour weeks. And once you do that, 6 months, a year later, I mean, it starts to pay off.
Yep.
That's where I think age doesn't matter. I think it's all consistency. Consistency is key. I know that's a big saying everybody says, but I think you do it long enough and you build a team that respects you, and you work as hard as your team members. I think that's going to ultimately build that company the way you want it to be built.
I think going back to the number one topic that we're talking about, or action item that people can do watching, and positioning yourself in rooms that allow you to grow around other people. They say if your friends don't bring opportunity, their opportunity costs, right? So your ability to surround yourself with other people in our organization and be like, hey, Deven, weather the storm, you're going to get through this, is probably a whole different end of it. If you called your high school buddy who's working a 9 to 5 and he's like, dude, screw that. That's not worth it. You shouldn't be working past 5. Like, just a completely different mindset. So surrounding yourself with those people will definitely allow for growth, personally. Do you feel like you've seen a shift in, maybe your income directly or your ambition directly, or, any of the skills that you have directly? Did you see any of that shift when you shifted the friends that you may have once had, maybe don't have anymore?
Yeah, I'd say being around, like you said, it's the mindset of who you hang around, on how hard you work and how often you work, and the type of work that you produce. I'd say it is. I would say it's a very fortunate thing to have. You call somebody up and they work, if not as hard as you or harder than you, and you get to see how their life, I would say, progresses. And I think having everybody on the same page, all your buddies on the same page of, hey, everybody wants to be a millionaire one day, right? So if you've got, a group of buddies that are, actually going to make it happen, you can make it happen.
Yeah, one clear goal, one clear vision. The second thing that I want to talk about out of the 3 is staying liquid so you can go where opportunity needs you. And this was a huge, this was something big that you positioned yourself, a big moment, because you can't always say yes to opportunity and go where it needs you if you're forced into this corner because, you're not liquid, right? And you have a bunch of these fixed items or belongings or this, that, and the third, right? Like, you have to position yourself to be able to have optionality, right? And pick and choose and go where opportunity needs you, because more times than not, opportunity doesn't fall in your lap, does it, Deven?
Never. So you got to work for that. You got to work for everything that does come to your lap.
It's all luck, though, I thought. You're lucky, Deven.
No. Hard work is what gets you that luck. You got to put the time, the hours in. And I know you mentioned, staying liquid. And how many times have I called you saying, "Hey, I want to buy a house"? And it's
what do I tell you every time?
Don't buy a house. And a lot of people, that are comfortable, purchase homes. They're comfortable.
They say luck is good timing and preparation, right? So if you're not prepared for the moment, which if opportunity needs you in Alabama and you have a house, makes it a lot harder or a lot more difficult to go there, right? So just, again, staying liquid to allow yourself the ability to have the optionality and pick and go where opportunity needs you, I think is a big one. It allowed you to go to next level, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got a phone call from you, Parker, and you told me, "Hey,
pack your bags.
Pack your bags. You got 2 weeks to make it out to Massachusetts." And I said, "All right, I'm going." Threw all the crap in my car and started driving.
They say you don't need roots in your 20s. You need range, right? You need the ability to go far, right? And I think what I would tell someone listening right now, how you do this is keep your fixed expenses low so you can say yes fast, which is how you positioned yourself prior to going to next level, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything. I mean, I was just living at home with my parents and, literally working. I'd go home, go to bed, and starting young, too, is I think it'll get you out of that, I would say, going out and partying stage of your life. If you start working, real hours, making, decent income real young, I'd say I'd stopped going out, and you just had to buckle down. You had to get up early. You had to, manage a team, and you can't do all that, while you're young and going out.
Yeah. To close up number 2, did staying liquid ultimately allow you to get to your goals faster, do you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I think I wouldn't have had this opportunity if I wasn't liquid. I think if I had a house or if I had anything large that I couldn't bring and sell quickly, I mean, I don't think I'd ever end up in Massachusetts working for Next Level.
Definitely wouldn't have gotten me to where I wanted to go either. So stay liquid, recommend it to everybody. The third thing I want to talk about is the difference between dreamers and operators, which I feel like me and you are very similar in the terms of we're operators, right? We can dream sometimes, but like when we get back to our roots, we're operators, and the difference between them is operators are going to be the guys that execute every single day. If it's unclear, right? Unsexy, probably just downright uncomfortable, but they're just still the person that's going to get the work done every single time. And they talk about reliability being a superpower. If you can be the most reliable guy, you have a guy that instantly pops into your mind on your team. That's the most reliable guy, don't you?
Yep.
Is he probably one of your best guys?
Yep. I say you've got to have one of those guys you can call at 10 o'clock at night.
You have to be that guy first, though, right?
Yep.
Yourself.
You have to show them it's possible. And once they see it's possible, that Deven can do it. He's like, well, why can't I? Deven's young.
Well, and ultimately, Deven, that's what positioned you in the position you're in as well, right? Because you were the guy that was the first one in, last one out when me and Jeff were out here, looking at buying Polypro, right? The sales team is in a bad spot. Jeff's like, let's give this young, dumb kid who's the most reliable one, at least he'll show up and run leads, right? We give you a shot. You're reliable, you're consistent, you go to your leads, you show up every time, you give them good customer service every time, you take care of the customer every time. You're able to do it with consistency, and ultimately that's what works you into another position, and then you're putting up good sales numbers. It's like, hey, we should give this guy a shot in management. Like, being reliable is a superpower. I can't stress that enough to anybody who watches this or like is looking for one key piece or key takeaway. Just be the most reliable guy in your space because it's going to get you to where you want to go.
Right. And I sent a message out to my reps today, and it's funny you say that. I was kind of mentioning, consistency beats talent when talent doesn't work. And I think, anybody that's consistent does the same thing every day. They're the guys that are going to make it.
Yeah.
And there was a quote, do you know who Theo Von is? Mm-hmm. He always said, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
So when I was out in the field, running sales appointments and I wasn't closing, I had to change. And if I don't change, then I'm going to get canned, lose my job.
Yep.
So consistency, being on time, being the first guy at the shop, being the last guy at the shop. I mean, those are all the guys we look for.
Yep.
And the guys that want to get back and go home, I mean, they're of course still a part of our team, but they're not the guys that want to grow.
An action item that I would tell somebody in very simple terms to take away, this is what you need to do right now after watching what we just discussed, is start moving, right? Even without all the information, start moving, stop waiting. You're going to be light years ahead. Do you agree?
Yep.
Deven, do you feel like, because ultimately there was a time in your career that I'm sure, I felt like that. We just talked about this prior to the episode. There was a time in your career where stuff got unsexy. It felt like you were doing the same thing every day. It got uncomfortable. Maybe you were working long hours. What kept you executing in all of those like uncertain times and like uncomfortable times? Like, what kept you executing?
I think there's one major factor, which was I just moved, and I mean I had to make a paycheck. I mean I didn't have a lot of money to my name, and I was 14 hours away from home, and I took the step of moving, and I always wanted to be the successful one out of my family, and I think that's kind of what kept me executing. As far as just I had to cover rent. As you know, rent's not cheap out in Massachusetts. It's I'd say one of the most expensive places to live right now.
It's interesting that you say that. And Tim, we're going to need to film a podcast on the difference between hometown talent and moving away, because I felt like I was in the same position when I moved away. It was like, what other option do I have? I don't know anyone out here. Like, we might as well go for it. We might as well grab everything and anything in our way on the way to our goal, in a new city. So I definitely agree there. Deven, to kind of close it out, we're already at minute 16, so going a little bit over here. What, after hearing everything on the podcast, after giving your input, you're sitting in a room with 19-year-old Deven, who's about to start this journey with Polypro / Next Level / Revamp Companies. What are you telling 19-year-old Deven?
I'm glad he did it. I'm glad he made the right decision and packed his bags and left. And stayed liquid.
Glad you did it.
Yep. I say again, you're not gonna get any big opportunities if you don't take them. So you have to take them. You have to get yourself out of that comfort zone and make it happen.
If anyone's watching right now, they're young, they're hungry. Their job isn't to look successful, right? It's not. Your job is not to look successful. Right? It's to stack real skills, ship real value, and let real action do the talking. We'll see these people on the next episode, Deven.